The focus of this lesson is on writing the equation of a function given a description of transformations made on that function. So we're going to start off with our parent function, f of x equals the cube root of x. So all transformations are going to happen to that function, f of x. And we're going to basically take them in order as they're stated, because if you were to actually graph by transformations, you would follow the description in order. So in order, it says the graph of f of x equals the cube root of x is shifted 2 units right. So that's our first transformation. It's shifted 2 units right. So if we want to shift 2 units right, we know that has to happen to the x's. So instead of evaluating our function at x, we need to apply it at x minus 2, because minus 2 from our x's takes us rightward. And so what that does is, instead of having the cube root of x, we now have the cube root of x minus 2 instead. And you don't need these parentheses, but I just want you to see that I'm replacing the x with x minus 2. The next transformation we have is it's reflected across the y-axis. So if you were to take this function now where we left off and apply a reflection across the y-axis, that means we have to apply a negative to our x's. So think opposite letter with reflections. So where there was an x, I have to replace it with negative x. So I'm going to put my parentheses, but in place of x, I'm going to put negative x instead. And keep my subtraction of 2, so that doesn't change. So this becomes the cube root of, we're evaluating at negative x minus 2. So it's now at negative x minus 2. If we stretch horizontally by a factor of 2, so that's our next transformation. It's a horizontal movement, so it's a stretch, so we know it's a multiplier on our x's. And then since it's horizontal, we have to think reciprocal. So if it's a factor of 2, the multiplier should be 2's reciprocal, which is a half. So the multiplier is a half on this x. So we're now evaluating our function at, instead of negative x, it's negative half x, and then minus 2. So what originally was our function, the cube root of x, is now negative half x, but then minus the 2. And then last, we are shifting 3 units down, which is a vertical concept. And it's down. So we need to subtract 3 from our overall function. So our overall function is this negative half x minus 2. And if we subtract 3 from that to get us down 3 units, then that means our cube root of a negative 1/2 x minus 2, we need to subtract 3 from that. And so at the end of the day, our transform function, we'll just call it something different than f of x, is g of x equals the cube root of negative 1/2 x minus 2, and then that all minus 3. And if you wanted to check if this was right, you could start off with a key point from your original function, f of x. So like, for example, the point 1, 1 is a key point. And then you could apply each of these transformations to that point. And at the end of the day, whatever ordered pair you got, if you plugged its x value back in, you should get the corresponding y value back. And then that's how you know you did the correct equation.